All right, so hello, my name is Sharon Honor, and I work for Guilford County Schools in the Social Emotional Learning Department as the Positive Support and Student Transition Teacher Lead. What that means is I support our district and schools with systemic SEL implementation. I also work with students who are currently attending alternative to suspension programs on developing SEL skills such as the 5 core competencies of self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, responsible decision-making, and relationship skills. I want to welcome everyone to our SEL Day Podcast. I'm currently at Falkener Elementary School, where I have the lovely privilege of interviewing some phenomenal staff. I want to start off with some introductions, so let's go around the room and get everyone's name, role, and first encounter with the term SEL.
My name is Michaela Williams. I am the school social worker here at Falkener Elementary, and my first encounter with the word SEL was actually maybe 3 years ago at this point, when I was an intern with the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Office in Guilford County Schools, and we worked closely with the SEL department. We were actually in the same building over on Franklin Boulevard, so that's my first time hearing about SEL.
Thank you.
And I am Crystal Raspberry, school counselor here at Falkener. I would say my first encounter with SEL was when I transitioned into the school system from community mental health. And so I always knew that there was a foundation for, understanding our emotions, but actually putting a name on it as SEL was my first time.
Thank you.
My name is Lauren Waterman, and I'm one of the school counselors here at Falkener as well. And I can't remember how many years ago it was, but my first encounter with SEL was whenever Guilford County first brought about the initiative. We'd always talked about character education before, and I felt like whenever I heard the term SEL, I just was just thrilled that we had a way to encompass all that character is. And so that's just been a real integral part ever since we first heard the term.
All right, thank you. And I want to thank you all for your time today and being present. And let's jump right into our questions. So question number 1, what is social emotional learning and what does it mean to you?
So I would say social emotional learning is the foundation for many of our students, learning their emotions, how to regulate their emotions, understanding how to build strong, healthy relationships. I believe SEL means that we are creating the guidance for not just students, but also for staff to kind of figure out how to check in and identify what they need to be successful in life and within the school buildings and outside in our communities.
Thank you for that.
And I wanted to add, I just think that SEL is really about being your best self. And that's the way a lot of times I like to explain it to the little kids. They don't always understand it, but it's just being your best self. And when you can be your best self, you treat others better as well. So it's about getting along with others. And so that's why it's so important for all of us.
Thank you. Okay. So we have question 2. What does today's students, tomorrow's leaders mean to you?
For me, I feel that it means, as of right now, we are teaching, equipping them with those skills. And tomorrow, in the near future, they are going to be the adults who we are going to be looking to make decisions for us in those roles that we are in now. So for me, it's like whatever we're doing now is what we'll have to answer to for in the future. So ensuring that, we're equipping our students with the skills to be lifelong learners, to be good global citizens, and just to be able to be all around, manageable adults.
Love it. Thank you. Okay. How do you work to advance SEL in your classroom, school, district, or community?
I feel like here at Falkener, we really try to include SEL in everything, really, in what we're doing. The students, they have harmony goals in their classrooms. We have postings up about SEL. We have it in our counseling suite so they can come and see, the emotional regulation wheel. When we are working with students, even when we're doing attendance things, we always are mentioning, the positive behaviors, but along with those positive behaviors is SEL, because we want them to understand, a positive behavior is being able to manage your emotions, being able to understand what's an appropriate emotion to have compared to what's not an appropriate emotion. So I feel like we do try to implement that in every way, and also having these conversations with our students and our parents as well. So posting things onto our class dojo so that the community members who are connected there and families can see it as well.
Okay. How does SEL support mental health and overall well-being?
I think when we talk about SEL and its ability to support the mental health is we take a look at where does it actually start, right? So we have to understand ourselves. We have to be aware of ourselves, our own triggers, our own emotional regulation needs, and also our interactions and relationships with others. I believe SEL supports mental health because once we're able to acknowledge what we need to grow and learn, then we're able to control our overall mental health. We know what triggers us. We are able to identify what boundaries need to be put in place. We know how to calm ourselves if we get overwhelmed. So I think SEL kind of provides us with those tools that we need to kind of make sure that our mental health is in check.
I feel like SEL is also the foundation almost for, what we consider to be mental health. And when we're talking about our mental health, overall well-being, you have to know, kind of like Crystal was mentioning, what your triggers are. How, if you know that, okay, when I get mad, I'm not able to bring myself down, I have to do X, Y, and Z, and then if you're getting to a point where you're like, okay, well, I'm noticing that I'm struggling with this, and it's becoming a point where I don't feel that I have the coping skills. So if you know that you are struggling with some of that emotional regulation, maybe you do have some higher mental health concerns that need to be addressed in a more therapeutic way.
Thank you. Okay. How has SEL impacted your students, staff, families, or the broader community?
I feel like SEL has impacted our entire school culture. And I just feel like that since we've been implementing SEL, that there's a higher level of trust, I feel like, because people feel supported. And so everybody feels supported. The students, I think, feel supported even when they're having one of their worst days, or maybe they're not able to stay in the classroom for whatever reason. They know that there are adults in this building who are there for them, and we want to help them to de-escalate if that's what they need, or if they just need a little bit of a break away from the classroom, whatever it is, that it's more understanding, and so therefore they're more trusting in us. And so we just really work to build that trust and build those relationships. And I think because we have SEL, we all have a common language that we're able to use that helps that to be school-wide.
Absolutely. And I love that you speaking on that. It's just like when you're walking into a classroom, you should know what subject you're in, whether it's math, history, science. Same thing about SEL. It should be school-wide verbiage being used.
And I feel like our families are also kind of getting to understand it a little bit more. Of course, when you mention things like mental health, eyebrows raise up. But when we mention things like SEL, where we're working with those students to work on emotional regulation, I feel like that's when we kind of get that parent buy-in of like, oh my gosh, I've been seeing these issues at home, or, you guys have mentioned that they're having these issues at home. And when we offer them a space of like, we can provide them with the resources to help them so that the behaviors don't seem so outlandish, or they just don't seem so much, and we can give the students the skills. I feel like our families have also been more so receptive to SEL.
Okay, thank you. How do you practice SEL in your personal life?
So for me, something that I do, or I feel like that I do have, is good self-awareness. I think that's a big part of SEL. So I know my triggers. I know when I need to just back away, and I know when something's gonna make me mad. And I always say around him, I'm getting worked up, or they know that I get worked up about a lot of things, but knowing when something is going to trigger me in a sense, or I know that I'll have to take a step back from, I feel like it's how I practice it in my personal life, is knowing that I have to be self-aware at all times.
Right. And I think for me, it's more so when I practice SEL is allowing myself grace. I think that a lot of times we put a lot of pressure on ourselves in every area of our life. And so when I allow myself grace, I also allows me to remember to allow others grace. And know that we're not all at the same point of our social emotional learning levels. We're all going through different avenues and different pathways in our personal lives. And so just that grace kind of helps me keep that front center.
And I think for me, it's the self-management, the self-care, and being able to know whenever you need to set boundaries, and you know whenever you need to do some things just for yourself, and that helps you to be better friend, a better colleague, better just to the world whenever you're able to take that time for yourself.
Absolutely. Okay. Do you have an engaging story about implementing SEL in your community?
I don't know if I have a specific story, but I think just here on a daily, we have students who, compared to last year, maybe they came from another school, or they just haven't had time to build those relationships here. I think when we are made aware of the behaviors that the students have, and we work together to try to figure out, okay, like how can we support this student when we implement SEL with that student, and of course it's at the core level, but when we work on a plan, specific for this student, I feel like we have made so much progress with those students who we have seen, when they come in day one, they're not receptive to anything. But as the time goes on, as we work with them and we remind them of the things that, we are supposed to do and what we're not supposed to do, we speak life into them, we motivate them, and we see them do a complete 180. I'm thinking specifically of a student who last year we had so many behaviors out of him, and now he is walking up to staff members, initiating affection, trying to create conversation, trying to build relationships, which was something that he did not have the skills to do beforehand. And I don't know if no one just took the time or had the time to sit there with him and work through those things. But now that he has those skills, we can see, him using it. And I think that's the best thing ever, when we see that the work we're doing is not in vain, and that it actually does work, but it takes you to work it. Okay, you can't just say I'm doing SEL and then you're only doing it maybe once or twice a quarter. But when you do have that consistency with it and you see those students change, I think that's the best thing.
Thank you.
And I would say the same thing. I think the first SEL training and restorative practice training I took, I would go home and practice those things with my family. You go home like, oh, I learned something new, and then you actually found that it actually works. Like, this actually works. Like, a lot of times I think when we think about our community, we have to know that it's like everything all put together, right? So it's inside the school building, it's our personal lives, it's like whoever interacts within our life. And so I would start asking like those questions and like those check-ins, right? And so we realized that we're implementing SEL all the time, but we didn't realize what we were doing, right? So when you ask someone how they're doing, you're not just asking them for a response, you're like listening, intentional listening, so you can check in. Maybe there's like deeper questions that it can lead to. So I just feel like the more training and the more that we're learning, we are implementing that into our communities and our own families, and hopefully that's spilling out into their communities as well.
Thank you. Okay. What outcomes or research findings have you seen with implementing SEL?
I could speak to some outcomes that we have seen since we've been implementing SEL. We have been doing PBIS for many years, and that has always followed the MTSS framework. And now that we have included SEL as another component of that MTSS behavior, so we have the PBIS and the SEL, I just feel like it has really made an improvement on our discipline referrals, our overall climate. So it's like you need both of those things. So the PBIS is great for setting the tone for the expectations that we have for the school, but SEL really helps the students to rise to those expectations. And so you really need both of those things. And so I just feel like that we have seen a positive effect at our school just by adding that one other component. The behavior at our school has improved tremendously.
Absolutely. I agree. I think, of course, before we were throwing around the term SEL, I think that oftentimes it was immediately going into discipline, but I think now here in Guilford County School, and I'm sure globally, people that are implementing SEL have seen that, you know, there are some students who they don't respond well to just being talked to sternly. Maybe they do need to sit in that emotion and talk about how it makes them feel and talk about ways to overcome that emotion. Not everybody responds to things in the same way. So you may have a student who responds to really stern discipline and needs someone to keep them on the way in that manner. But then you may have a student who needs to talk things out, who needs to sit in it, and who needs to know that it's okay to do that. Because I think oftentimes we're immediately looking for that change right away. But I think what SEL teaches us, like Crystal was mentioning, is to give that grace. It's going to take a little bit of time to unlearn all of the things we have learned in the past that maybe don't benefit us emotionally. But when we get to a space that we actually have those skills and can rationalize through that, I think that is what we're really looking for and what the students need as well in this day and age.
Thank you. And then lastly, is your organization hosting any events, programs, or activities for SEL Day?
So we here at Falkener treat SEL Day like a day of unity. So we are planning on coordinating activities throughout the school for that day. Students will wear different colors just to show our school color pride. So blue and white. Some of our students also have like the Falkener gear. We just want to create ways and make it flexible as far as options on how we can create that unity. We also do different things within the classroom. We host SEL promotions on the morning show, so they'll be doing activities that morning in their classrooms. And so we just try to feed it out. We also provide teachers extra tools and resources for that day that they can implement in their classroom too, based off of their schedules.
Okay. Well, I truly enjoyed this robust conversation about SEL and its impact on our students, teachers, and all stakeholders involved in educating our future leaders. I want to leave you with this quote that I read by Lisa Zagas that says, SEL is not one more thing on the plate, it's the plate. That means that in order for learning to take place, we have to start with SEL first. I want to thank our participants again for joining us today. And remember to always pour into today's students because they are tomorrow's leaders.